Hey there friends, welcome back to another Build Along With Me video here in Dinkum, where I build in real time a structure or a building that you can follow along. And there we go, a handy dandy graph right on the screen for you to know how many tiles up to build to copy this exact design. This time around I decided to go with a wedding chapel. A few of my friends have built wedding venues on their Dinkum islands, and I thought, wouldn't that be cool to have a chapel or a church, you could do it as either, for your wedding venues. So this is the perfect little building for that. Forgive the not great aesthetic around it. This is my prototype building area where I build these buildings and film them for you guys. So I don't always terraform around perfectly or change out the dirt. It's more of a needs must situation. So here we are, kind of just getting the basic shape of the front of the building together here. I knew I wanted to have a kind of a step entrance into the chapel, to make it look a little more grand rather than just walking right on in. And I knew I wanted to have a peaked roof. So I'm going about this a slightly different than I have in other ones, where I'm really just trying to get all the little pieces in place as I build this. So that way I'm making sure that, okay, this is the look we're going for. I hope that if you guys are interested in building any kind of a wedding venue, or perhaps you want a church facility on your island and build one in your town, this would serve the exact same purpose, multifunctional, if you will. If you wanted to include a cemetery, there's quite a lot of options with that as well, given that there's I believe in the signage section, there is a stone sign that kind of looks like a tombstone. So you can create all kinds of different things with this particular build: a wedding chapel, a church with a cemetery, any kind of just sort of meditation center. I mean, it's really, the world is your oyster basically at this point. So here I'm doing this in pieces rather than building the whole building and then going in and doing some decorating, mostly just because I wanted to make sure that I was getting the correct shape. Sometimes I wish we could we could print like half a square. That would be fantastic sometimes. But unfortunately, that's not how this works. And so we've got to work within a full grid system here. So sometimes these turn out a little larger than I really would like them to. Any example pictures that I look up, it's like, oh, you've got these cute little skinny churches or chapels, whatever you'd like to call them. And this turned out a lot wider, but it was really kind of necessary given, the dimensions and the scale in which I was trying to build it in. This is a wedding chapel, guys, and I hope that it inspires you to create something similar on your island. I'm going to let you guys enjoy and build, and I will be back in just a bit. I figured y'all didn't need to see two different sides of the exact same thing. So I did one side and then I filled in the other and cut that part out. So if you need to pause your video so that you can catch back up, please do so. I will put the graphic back on the screen to tell you how many, well, maybe I do, maybe I don't. I can't remember now. But if you need to, just rewind. Not a problem there if there's anything you missed. It's fairly simple pattern once you kind of get it down, and it's pretty easy to follow. It does kind of look like it could be complicated from the graphic, but I promise it really is a very easy pattern to build. And, you know, you basically just do one tile up higher on the next row to help you create this slanted and sloped roof with the ramp tiles that you can place down. My only regret is that the tiles for the ramps were the same color as the pathing. It would be nice. I realized here that I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do the design I was gonna do on the sides of the buildings, I needed the building to be one more square long. So here we are, I'm building an extra row. Don't worry, that is taking account for the graph that you see up in the left-hand corner. That extra row is already added in there, so you don't have to do that. But yeah, this is the church, and now we're gonna start kind of getting some things ready for decorating. Some of the things you see here that I'm going to use have been utilized before. Was inspired by a couple of other creators and builders in Dinkum. So some of this stuff is just not an original idea. Just know that going forward. But I do take those things and I use them in builds. And I do try to give credit where credit is due. Sometimes I don't remember. And when I don't remember, I say I don't remember. But I think it might be this person or that person. So if you see something that I've done and I don't credit the right person, leave a comment down below. Let me know. I definitely want those who did it first to get the credit for it. But it's definitely, a lot of the things I utilize are a derivative of something someone else has done, because that's just kind of how this whole business works. So I have seen other people use these Eastern chairs to create kind of like stained glass window or church windows, for lack of a better term, church windows. I think the first time I saw that was Steph Faw, but I'm not 100%. I think she had a church or a little chapel area that had those chairs. It could have been Jersey also, if we're being real. Either one of them. But yeah, that's that. I thought it was cute, and I was like, I definitely need to utilize that here. And this is kind of where the scale issue kind of comes into play. These windows are a little too small for the size of the building, but they do work. Especially once I start putting kind of some greenery and some flowers around the building. You kind of get that essence. Okay, this is a window. And, it just adds a little something extra. And now I'm kind of building up the staircase area because I definitely wanted that. This chapel is just kind of reminiscent of a lot of little country churches that exist around here. They all kind of look very, very similar to this, a very small little step stoop with the white, and there's a steeple, and the quintessential what you would imagine a chapel or a church to look like in small town East Texas. So that's the inspiration here. There's not any specific building that I built, but it definitely kind of comes from a lot of little country churches around the area. There's this big kind of empty spot here between the building and the steps, and I eventually sink some trees there to create like a really bushy bush, like a much more lush bush than what is provided for us in the game. And I do leave in the process of that, so if you want to copy something very similar, you can do that as well. Of course, no church is complete or chapel is complete with any kind of flowers and things that make it pretty. I went with white. I think everything is white and green just so that it would have a more neutral palette. If you're getting married in a place like this, you want to be able to envision it for yourself with your stuff. And so white is just the perfect solution there. I do tend to use a lot of white flowers and neutral colors when it comes to stuff like that. I just tend to like that more, and I gravitate towards the things I like. I think we're all kind of similar in that way. And here is where I am burying a bottle tree for you guys to make a much bigger like bushy bush to fill in this area and kind of add some texture and some green. And it was too short. It's either going to be 4 squares down or it's going to be 5 squares down, and you can never really tell until you put it in there. And so here's the process. If you end up putting in a tree that it doesn't work. Instead of having to dig out another hole so that you could go down there and chop it, you can just do the procedure that I have on the screen where you hit debug and you go in and type in that code. And so, yeah, I filled it in one more. And that looks exactly like I was wanting it to look. So yay for progress. And then I come over here and I do the exact same thing. So yeah, a lot of symmetry in this build, obviously, but it was necessary for what we were building here. I got married in a church. The church that I had kind of basically grown up in. Didn't look anything like this really, because ours was more of a dark brown, and I think, the outside had kind of a stucco look. Anyway, so like I said, not really based off of anything particular in my life, just kind of all the little churches that happen to be out in the county, on the little country roads that you can pass at any point. And they really are this small, and they really are, very similar in this way. I do tend to take a lot of my designs from real life and places I have been, or, things I've seen that I really enjoy. On my other island, well, this island actually, I have a whole California section where I have Grauman's Chinese Theater and the Hollywood sign, Griffith Observatory, and Balboa Park. I do eventually plan on putting in a winery/vineyard inspired by Boozy Loomer. She has a fantastic one on her island, and I believe there's a tour video out for that, so you should go check her out for sure. But yeah, eventually I'm gonna put a winery/vineyard on this island to kind of represent Northern California. Now, I've never lived in California. I have no affiliation there, but I have vacationed there on many of occasion, and some of our family does live out there, so we have gone to visit on multiple occasions, and we've seen a lot of sights. We've done a lot of things there. So I was just like, I've been there a lot, and I also have a replica of the Grand Canyon on this island. So a lot of vacation hotspots, and the big tropical resort that I have on this island is based off of where I went on my honeymoon. So just a lot of builds that have a lot of sentimental value for me. I decided to put some trees because, in my neck of the woods, quite literally, there are lots of pine trees. And I thought, I'm basing this off of a typical East Texas country church. So let's put some pine trees around. And I used to be a wedding photographer, for those who didn't know. And I've been to a lot of churches and a lot of wedding venues all over the state of Texas. And, I always loved the ones that still kind of kept a lot of the nature, and it made a lot of really pretty spots for photographs and things like that. So I am putting in some trees here, just to kind of represent that. Anytime you can take pictures outside in nature, I feel like that's always a good bet rather than doing it in the studio. And as a wedding photographer, I had to do that quite a lot. Adapt to my surroundings and the environment. And I just love trees in general. So, they're going to go in every build pretty much. I'm building a downtown area on my other island, and I'm like, how can I incorporate trees in this? So yeah, this is a pretty simple build. It didn't take very long at all. You can build this on your island probably in about 30 minutes if you follow along. If you have any issues, it might take a little longer, but it's pretty quick and pretty easy to follow along with. I decided to do a wardrobe as a simple steeple here instead of any of the other combinations of things I could have done, just because I thought that it looked the most symmetrical. And here we are, final walkthrough, guys. I decided to change some clothes. You like my dress? I dressed for the occasion, just for you guys. But again, forgive the yellow grass. I was like, I'm on a time crunch here. So I didn't get to transfer a new grass down, but I think you get an idea at least. And the maintenance guy has been off work for a while. He's been on vacation, so he hasn't taken care of the place like he should have. And here we are at night, just a little bit of subtle light. Nothing too fancy. Always simple around here. I say simple. I know I'm going to get a comment. This isn't simple. I promise it really, really is. And the graph should help you. Obviously, hit that pause button or rewind and go back and take a look at things if you get lost or you get behind. It should be fairly easy to follow along with. Yeah, I hope you guys will put a wedding chapel or a church on your island somewhere, or, put it in with your wedding venues, add it to your town, incorporate it somehow. I hope it inspires you to build something amazing. All right, you guys. Well, that's going to wrap us up for this one. As always, you all be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.